This is for 8.6 in Algebra 2, I believe. We're going to talk about conic sections. Here are all the formulas. So in the conic sections, we have an equation for a circle. That would be if the center is at HK, radius R. We use this formula for an ellipse. A is the longer axis, semi-axis, and B is the semi-minor axis. The only thing about this is A and B might be reversed. A has to be the longer length. Here's a focal distance. Now, on a hyperbola, this type, if the x is first, will open left and right. If the y is first, the hyperbola will open up and down. And here again is the focal length. Now, on a parabola, if the only one variable squared on a parabola, if the x is squared, it'll be opening up or down. If the y is squared, it'll be opening to the right or to the left, to the right and or left. So I'd like you to get familiar with the formulas. Now, when you look at example 1, they give you the thing in black. I wrote the general form above it. H is 2, K is -3. So I go to the point 2, -3 and make the center. Now if R squared is 9, that means the radius here has to be 3. So I go 3 to the right, 3 up, 3 to the left, and 3 down. And I make a circle. The only difference between these two equations, the first one is example 2, and the second one is this one has a minus and this one has a plus. If it's a plus, it will be an ellipse. If it is a minus, it would be a hyperbola. But there are a lot of similarities. We need to find HK. What's H? What makes this x part 0? -1. Do you agree? What makes the y part 0? 3. So that's going to be the center. Is it the same over here? What makes the x part 0? -1. What makes the y part 0? 3. So that's the same center on both of them, isn't it? So I'm going to kind of emphasize that quadrant so we know where it is. -1, 3, I believe, is in quadrant 2. I don't want to do that. Let's make it similar. We'll put it right there. So we're going to go a few in each direction, if you don't mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me go back a little bit. I'm going to make them smaller if you don't mind. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these are in the negative, right? And we'll mark off a couple of things here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Where's the center? -1, 3. -1, 3. Do I have the right location? Okay. I hope everybody's paying attention because this will summarize two of the topics, the hyperbola and the ellipse, if you pay attention. Okay. Is this also at the center of -1, 3? 1, 2, 1, 2. Let me mark a few off. Okay, this one also is at -1, 3. Everybody's okay with the center? Okay. What number is under the x? 9. What is the square root of 9? So that means I go 3 in the x direction. 1, 2, 3, right here. 1, 2, 3 over here. What is under the y? and the square root of 4 is, that means I go 2 in the y direction. So I go 2 down, 2 up, and I create my ellipse. I apologize. I go 3, what do I go? 3 to the right? Yes? And 3 to the left? 1, 2, 3. You go 2 up, and you go 2 down. And on this one, the one that actually is an ellipse, is where you sketch the ellipse. I apologize, this one is not an ellipse. So I'll fix it, but we do the same distances. Do you agree I still went 3 to the right and left, 2 up and 2 down? Okay, the ellipse, you just sketch the ellipse. The hyperbola, you have to make a dotted rectangle. And you have to make the diagonals of those rectangles. Now, which came first, the X or the Y? That means it goes from here and opens like the Y-axis up and down. So it's going to go from here and approach these asymptotes. Where are my vertices? It was at -1 and then it went up 2. Would that be -1, 5? Where's this vertex if I go down 2 from 3? Would that be -1, 1, I think? Those are the vertices. Please take a pass.
Can you go over that again?
Sure, we will go over it again. Just let me pause this for a moment. We are doing 8.6. We're going to be working on some odds, approximately 15 questions, and this happens to be a parabola. Only one variable is squared. Because it's a parabola, you have the parabolic formula of this. Again, if you write them on a note card, I will most likely let you use them on the quiz. What value makes the x part 0? -4, comma, what makes the y part 0? That is your vertex. So -4, 2 is in quadrant 2. So I will go to -4, +2. Is that about here? -4, +2. Now my question is, please look at this. If you solve this for y, would it be a positive x squared or a negative x squared if you solved it for y? If you solve this for y, okay, I will write it out. You have an x plus 4 quantity squared equals, please be quiet, -8 y minus 2. If you multiply by -1/8, you would have this. Then if you added 2, in other words, is the x squared positive or is the x squared negative? Here it's y equals. Y equals a positive or a negative x squared. This is a y equals a negative x squared, so it opens down. So I make this parabola open down. My vertex was where? -4, 2. Can anybody look and tell me what P might have to equal? What does 4P have to equal? 4P equals -8, making P -2. I always look for the absolute value of P because I know it's a distance. So I go 2 to the inside to find my focus. Would that be at -4, 0? If I went 2 to the outside, that would make my directrix on the outside. And if I went 2 up from that y value of 2, would make the directrix at y equals 4. I will ask for the vertex, the focus, and the directrix. This is number 5. I said each of them equal to 0 to find the center to be at 6, -1. Because both variables are squared and subtracted, that makes it a hyperbola. So I go to 6, -1. Under the x is a 25 or a 5 squared. So that means I go 5 in the x direction. So I got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which I think would make that at 11, right? And if I go back 5, I think it'd be here at positive 1, right? Now, how far in the y direction do we go? What's the square root of 1? 1. So I go 1 up and 1 down, and I create a rectangle. It is not an ellipse. Otherwise, I would just draw the ellipse. The diagonals of the rectangle now, my only question is, what's first, x or y? So it opens around the x-axis, left and right.
Oh, that's what you're telling me?
Yep. Now, what are your vertex here? I think it'd be 11, -1, and 1, -1. And I'm not even going to push it too much on focal points. Guys, I'm thinking at this point, focal points might become bonuses. Is that reasonable? Now, I'm going to do the focus on this. I hope you can do it. Some of you will, but very few because it's kind of tough. C is what? For a hyperbola, it's a square root of a squared and b squared, but if this is a minus, then this is a plus. So what is C? 30 was 25 plus 1. So C would be radical 26, which is a little bit more than 5, right? Do you agree with that? Okay, I'm going to get a different color because I want to try to emphasize it.
Why didn't you square it?
How about, because I don't want C squared, I want C. So C, do you agree that C is radical 26? Here's the hard part. C is from the center, not from the vertex. So if I have my vertex here, or my center, and I go a little bit, how far did I go to from 6 to 11? Is that 5?
Yeah.
I need to go a little bit bigger than 5 to get my focus. The focus is always on the inside. Now, by moving horizontally, do I change the x or the y value? The x. So that 6 is what's going to change. It's going to be 6 plus radical 26 with the same y value. And over here, it will be at 6 minus radical 26. I'm considering making the foci bonuses, but they are not that hard, so that would be easy bonuses. What's different is on the ellipse and the hyperbola, the focal length comes from the center. Whereas on the parabola, the P comes, the focal length goes from the vertex.
Wait, so the focal point's always going to be one above the vertex. At least in this, because if you did 26 minus 1 is 25, you square 25, then it's 5, and 6 plus 5 is 11.
I don't know what you're saying. I agree the square root of 25 is 5, and you add 5 to 6 gives you the 11.
So then,
That's how I made that rectangle.
yeah, the vertex just doesn't change though. Of the hyperbola.
I agree. The vertex is there. It's,
Oh, okay.
it's at 11, -1, I think.
But the focal point, and for this,
Can you either fill one out or bring me the pass?
this hyperbola, the focal point would just be one out farther than.
Actually, not 1. It's like 5.1. It might be 0.1 in.
Okay.
Because this is not very much bigger than 5. It might be 5.1, but it's not a full 1
So
over.
it's just a little bit beyond.
Correct.
Okay.
Just a little bit past it.
And that isn't always the case.
You're right. 7 has a plus between them. If these values were the same, I don't know if you're aware of it, if those two were the same, the ellipse would become a circle. But because they are different, that means that this is an ellipse. Both variables added, squared, different coefficients. What makes this 0 is -2. What makes the y part 0 is 2. That's going to be the center. That's in quadrant 2, so I will emphasize quadrant 2. I need to go 1, 2, 1, 2, so I am now at -2, 2. Under the x is a 16. The square root of 16 is 4. So I move 4 in the x direction to the right, 2, 3, 4, and 4 in the x direction to the left. Now, under the y is a 36. That is 6 squared. So how far in the y direction? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that'd be up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be down here, right? And that would be -2 something else. This would be -2. If you went up 6, I think that's 8. If you go down 6, I believe that's -4. So because this is an ellipse, I sketched the ellipse. Now it looks kind of circular. How far was it in the x direction? 4. How far was it in the y direction? 6.
Good afternoon, Cowboys. This is Miss Fleet.